What's up, y'all? Thanks for stopping by the obviously Lee Authentic channel. My name's Leah, that's spelled L-E-A and not L-E-A-H. So this is going to be Cartoon Network versus Nickelodeon. So I had a lot of fun doing the Disney video, and I remember my sister sent me this list on Facebook, and I thought the mashup that they had was really cool. So I just wanted to do this video, just a fun video to do on a Saturday. So let's get into it. So our first mashup will be Dexter's Lab versus Jimmy Neutron. This one was kind of hard for me because I didn't like neither one when I was growing up as a kid. I didn't like Dexter's Lab until like 2002, 2003. And I think Dexter's Lab had been on since like 1991 or the early 2000s. But mainly for me, it was like I just never got the concept of Dexter's Lab. And if I was watching Dexter's Lab, I was only watching it to watch the little shorts that were in there. Like, I liked how they had the like fake, like the Justice Friends, like their versions of the Justice Friends with Major Glory, who was supposed to be like their version of Captain America, and then Valhalla was supposed to be their version of Thor, and then Crunk was supposed to be their version of Hulk. And so I like that, and I like the one about the monkey who gained like superpowers, and Dexter didn't know that the monkey had superpowers, so he was always calling him a stupid monkey. A stupid monkey. Like, I don't know, y'all. I just never liked it. And also as a kid, it was always weird to me that like Dexter's parents never realized that their child had like a secret laboratory. Mainly because I'm like, he is super duper smart. Like, your child is bringing home like awards, like crazy awards for like neuroscience and all this extra stuff, and it's like, y'all don't notice that like he got a lab. And then it was weird to me when Dee Dee was always effing up stuff. I was like, girl, like I couldn't take it. And I didn't like it. Like I said, I didn't start liking it until 2003, and that was because they changed the art style. Once they changed the art style, it became more appealing to me as a child versus the way it looked before. And then Jimmy Neutron, I didn't really like Jimmy Neutron other than Libby, because she was the black girl on there and I liked her, and I liked her little like relationship with Sheen. But other than that, like Jimmy got on my nerves, and so did Sarah. Sarah got on my nerves and Jimmy got on my nerves, because I was just kind of like, Sarah was just mean to him because she was jealous because he was smarter than her. And then with Jimmy, it was just kind of like, I didn't understand how someone that is so smart that you created a robot dog that has sentient, like it was a sentient being. All his inventions were always effing up except Goddard. Everything else he made or created was like destructive or evil, and it was weird to me. It was always so weird to me. And it was weird to me that his dad was so in love with ducks, and I don't think they ever explained like the backstory to that. So that was like, it was just a weird. But based off of the strength of what I just said, I think I'm gonna go with Jimmy Neutron, just so I can see my black queen Libby. Other than that, like, it's a no for me on Dexter's Lab. Just a no for me, y'all. So our next mashup is Teen Titans versus Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm gonna automatically go with Avatar: The Last Airbender. I love that series. I think the creators of the show did a phenomenal job. I'm Earth Kingdom all the way. Every time I do like one of those internet quizzes, like, which personality are you? Like, which nation would you be in? And like, I think it's based off of me just being like a Capricorn. I was like, we Earth signs, Earth Kingdom all day, okay? Plus, I always get Toph, and she is one of my favorite characters. I love Toph. I just love how badass she is. And I think the creators did such a beautiful job making a blind character and not making her weak. Like, she is one of the strongest characters in that series. Like, sis be beating people down, and I love it. Plus, Avatar: The Last Airbender also gave me Queen Azula with her psychotic behind. I love that little girl. For her to be like 14 or 15, she crazy, and I love it. I live for it. I live for my favorite scene of the entire series is when Azula takes over the Earth Kingdom, and she's talking. I forget, like she's talking to somebody who I guess was trying to also overthrow the kingdom, but Azula double crossed him. And he was like, "You bested me," or like something like that. But her response to him was like, "Sweetie, you wasn't even in the equation. You weren't even a part of my plans. I already knew I was going to beat you." I was like, I have to stand her, okay? The fact that she was just sitting on the throne like, sis, you wasn't even a part of the equation. I said, queen, with your crazy ass. I love it. Okay. And I like Teen Titans, the original Teen Titans, not that mess they be playing on Cartoon Network now, which with them, like, I don't know. Teen Titans Go is trash to me, but the kids love it, and I'm not a child, so I can't really talk. But y'all, when I tell you, the original Teen Titans, I loved. I really did. It sucked that it got canceled, because I was waiting to see if they were gonna add new people. Like, were they gonna add Aquaman, no, not Aqualad, and like all the different characters, but I think they made up for it by creating Young Justice, or is it Young Justice? Is it called Young Justice? I think it's called Young Justice, because I remember watching that when I was younger too, where we got like a better version and a more adult version of Teen Titans, and I enjoyed that one, where we got to see Kid Flash, we got to see Superman, like Superboy or whatever. We got to see all the other characters in the DC universe that were like teenagers. So I enjoyed that series, but based off of how Teen Titans Go is going, I can't do it. I can't do it, y'all. I can't do it. So I'm gonna just have to Avatar: The Last Airbender, bruh. Avatar: The Last Airbender for me all day, every way. So yeah. So far, Nickelodeon is 2 for 2, y'all. 2 for 2. Next, we have Samurai Jack versus Danny Phantom. Samurai Jack, y'all. When I tell you, gotta get back. Samurai Jack, gotta get back. Hey, when I tell you, I used to love that theme music. I love Sam, and it gave me one of my. As y'all can see, I like villains. I like villain characters, but one of my favorite villain characters is Aku. Oh my gosh, I love Aku. Aku was committed to effing over Jack. If you don't know, there is an actual episode where Aku transforms into a woman and legit falls in love. Like, him and Jack become like a couple, but Jack doesn't know that the woman is just Aku. And then at the end, he double crosses him. And I was like, bro, you was committed. You fell in love with Jack too. Don't try to act like you was just playing him. Like, they did things, y'all. They didn't show us that they did things, but it was insinuated that they did things. Like, Aku effed with Jack until the day he got destroyed. Because even with the movie, which I think you should totally check out, the way the movie ended was sad as I don't know what either. And it was Aku's fault, y'all. Like, Aku was committed to screwing over Samurai Jack. I just love all the different worlds he went to and seeing how each world like functioned. Like, that was so cool to me as a kid. With Danny Phantom, I wasn't really into it. That came around when I was like a lot older. So like the cartoons that I was watching, like my cartoon viewership turned to anime, as y'all can see. So like I moved over. I wanted like more gritty cartoons. But I will say I did enjoy the Danny Phantom movie because I didn't understand where it was going. Well, not understand. I didn't know where it was going. And when we got to like who the major villain was of that movie, I just thought it was a cool like plot twist. So I'm gonna have to go with Samurai Jack. But yeah, Cartoon Network got one. So we 2-1, y'all. 2-1. Our next mashup is Cow and Chicken versus Cat Dog. This one was kind of tricky for me, but I went with Cow and Chicken. Mainly because I love the little shorts that were in Cow and Chicken. Like one of my favorite cartoon series, and you can see it on my shirt, is I Am Weasel. So this is Weasel and then I Are Baboon. You don't need pants for the victory dance, cause Baboon's better than Weasel. I Are Baboon. It's a short cartoon. I am Weasel. I am Weasel. I am Weasel. As you can see, I used to love watching that show just to watch that short that came in between Cow and Chicken. For Cat Dog, I always felt bad for Cat because it just seemed like no one ever liked him, and that he was always getting belittled and beat up because of Dog. And it seemed like everybody liked Dog, but Dog wasn't doing nothing. When we all know that Cat Dog was the brains of the operation. Like, Cat was the brains of the operation. My only thing is, like, it never made sense to me how they went to the bathroom. Like, on Family Guy, they posed a very good question when Peter was, like, drunk and was like, how does he go to the bathroom? And I thought about it. That is, like, a really good question. How does he go to the bathroom? Like, how do they go to the bathroom? Like, does one poop out the other, mouth? I don't know. That's horrible. That is horrible. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Cow and Chicken, y'all. I love Cow Chicken. The other part that was so weird to me about Cow and Chicken was the red hiney demon. Like, he never had a name, but he was always popping up. And I always wanted to know, like, what was his purpose of being a part of the show? Like, was his purpose just to F with them? Like, he never was like, he was never important to the series. But it was weird. It was so weird being little when that popped up. But yeah, y'all, I'm going to go with Cow and Chicken. So right now, it's 2 for 2 for Cartoon Network versus Nickelodeon. The next one is Ed, Ed, and Eddie versus, Rugrats. I'm going to go with Rugrats. I didn't start liking Ed and Eddie until I got a lot older. And especially when they got out of the cul-de-sac and they switched to actually going to school. I think the backdrop of them transitioning into school was a lot more believable in the sense of them just always staying in the cul-de-sac. But Eddie got on my nerves. Eddie, this one right here got on my nerves. Eddie got on my nerves. I couldn't take him. And I couldn't take how stupid Eddie was. And I always felt bad for Double D right here. I just always felt bad for him. Because he was the smartest one in the group. But the other two were just dumb. Rugrats, I enjoy Rugrats. And I'm only going to say Rugrats because of Susie Carmichael. Thank you for giving us black cartoons. Angelica worked on my nerves. But yeah, I'll go with Rugrats. So right now, it's 3 and 2. 3 and 2, y'all. I'm trying to keep up with this. So our next mashup is Courage the Cowardly Dog versus Invader Zim. I'm going to say Courage the Cowardly Dog, and RIP to the voice actor who voiced Mariel. I think she just passed away a week ago. I saw it on Twitter, but RIP to her. I loved Courage the Cowardly Dog. It was weird because it was scary when I was younger, but yet so entertaining. And I don't know how they created such a creepy yet cool yet satisfying show. But I'm definitely going with Courage the Cowardly Dog. I like Courage the Cowardly Dog over Invader Zim because Invader Zim was just gross to me. All the characters were gross. I felt bad for Sid. His sister was mean to him. His daddy was an absentee father. And it was he trying to save y'all from an alien invasion. And all of y'all keep giving y'all asses for him to kiss. I felt some type of way for Sid. But yeah, I'm going to go with Courage the Cowardly Dog. One of my favorite episodes from Courage the Cowardly Dog is, it's the episodes where Mariel and Eustace get shrunk. They get somehow they get shrunk. And no, that's not the one. You know what was one of my favorite one is the it's the one about the space octopus. I really love that one. I would watch that over the one I was about to tell y'all. It was about it was this space octopus that fell in love, then the government shot down her husband or her lover, and then she was pregnant, and Courage was trying his best to keep her safe and like keep her with like water, even though she came from space, so she really didn't need water. And then he was trying his best to like protect her from the government from taking her babies because she had babies. And come to find out that like once the babies floated up to the sky, their dad was like back in the space. It was so beautiful. Like that episode is so sweet to me. So I'm going with Courage the Cowardly Dog. Hands down. Screw Invader them. Courage the Cowardly Dog. Okay, so our next mashup is the Powerpuff Girls versus Fairly Odd Parents. I might get some hate for this. But I would go with Fairly Odd Parents. I remember liking Fairly Odd Parents as I got older. I like the fact that like they had the baby special and Cosmo got pregnant. It was going through the changes. I also like the fact that the show, I felt like the show always was like tripping me up. Like that one movie where we find out that Timmy basically like made a wish to stop time, and that's why he never grew up. That movie was so wild to me, and I love that concept. So I would go with Fairly Odd Parents over Powerpuff Girls. I liked Powerpuff Girls, but I remember as the show continued, I remember myself flipping the channel. I really thought the villains were way cooler than the Powerpuff Girls. Like you had Fuzzy Lumpkins, Mojo Jojo, and we had, I don't know why I said it like that, the Amoeba Brothers, that like street gang, the little lizard gang. That like, and then we had him. And y'all, I Googled what him was. Y'all, do y'all know him's name? Like him is an acronym for His Infernal Majesty. That is scary as hell. It said him is the King of Darkness and by far the greatest enemy of the Powerpuff Girls. The him was with it. Him was down with psychological torture when it came to the Powerpuff Girls. But yeah, I would rather watch the Fairly Odd Parents than the Powerpuff Girls. So throw your tomatoes, because I know everybody loves the Powerpuff Girls. But I'm going to watch the Fairly Odd Parents before I watch the Powerpuff Girls. Our next mashup is Space Ghost versus Rocko's Modern Life. I'm watching Rocko's Modern Life. A little fact about me, Leah got the DVDs. I need to buy a new DVD player, but I actually have the DVD set of all of Rocko's Modern Lives. I love that series. Like right now, the theme song is playing with Rocko's Modern Life. Rocko's Modern Life. I love the new movie that came out on Netflix. I thought it was so good. Like it was, I love it. I just love how weird Rocko's Modern Life was. I just love it. I love it. I ain't never liked Space Ghost. Never liked Space Ghost. I was kind of surprised that Space Ghost was like on here because I don't remember Space Ghost. I remember Space Ghost Coast to Coast, but that came on Toonami, or like which is now called Adult Swim. But when I was growing up, it was called Toonami, and it was like supposed to be like a more like rated TV, I guess 14. Like, because he would cuss on there, but, like, it was never an appealing show to me. So, yeah, I'm going with Rocko's Modern Life, y'all. All day, every day. One of my favorite episodes of Rocko's Modern Life is the dentistry, like, episode. It's where the turtle character, I cannot remember it's Heifer is the cow. Filbert was trying to get his dentist license, and he was using Rocko as his like patient to do like his surgery. But Filbert was so bad at being a dentist that like he effed up and turned the like sword tooth in Rocko's mouth into like a King Kong monster who started terrorizing the city. I love that episode. That is one of my favorite Rocko's Modern Life episodes. So I'm definitely going with Rocko's Modern Life over Space Ghost. AKA, like, I guess Space Ghost Coast to Coast, because I don't remember watching the original Space Ghost. No. So the next mashup is Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends versus Chalk Zone. Y'all, this one was hard for me, and low-key, I might just have to X this one out of the equation because I equally love both of those shows. Like, oh my gosh. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends was such a cool idea for me when I was younger, especially as I was growing up. I just thought, like, everybody kind of remembers having imaginary friends or making up, like when you're playing games, those things of that nature. But to actually have a show where your imaginary friends come to life and you send them to fosters, which is basically kind of like a shelter or something for the imaginary friends, and then they get adopted out. I just thought that was so sweet and corny, and I loved it. I love how they didn't have conventional characters. You got Blue, who's just Blue, just this blue blob who's an egotistical a-hole. Then you have Coco, who they don't know if she's an imaginary friend or not, or if she's because in the movie we end up finding out that Coco was found on some island, but she might be this rare beast, but she's half bird, half plane. And then oh my gosh, I just loved it. I loved it. And then we got introduced to Goo, who also is a black character, and I like the fact that she wasn't a conventional black character. Oftentimes when you see black characters that are in animation, they're always designated to two things. Either they're the really smart black friend who is AJ off of Fairly Odd Parents. He's smart, his family got money. They're always that. Even Susie technically fits into that category on Rugrats. She's the cute, smart black friend whose one of her parents I think is a veterinarian or a doctor, and then the other parent is a director of a TV series. And then you had Goo, who was just this eccentric, weird, colorful, black character who I just love to death. I love Goo. I just love her. And then with Chalk Zone, I thought Chalk Zone was also a cool and imaginative idea where it's Rudy to booty. And he would draw these things on the chalkboard, and then once he erased it, they would be transported in a Chalk Zone. Plus, Chalk Zone had fire songs at the end of every episode, especially when I forgot the girl's name. The new friend that Rudy brought into Chalk Zone with him was the girl who was exceptionally smart. I can't remember her name, but she was the Spanish character. But they would always have cool bomb songs at the end of Chalk Zone, fire songs at the end of Chalk Zone. They had no business being in a kids show, y'all. I don't know which one I'm gonna pick. Low key, I'm gonna pick both. This is my list. This is me picking, so I'm picking both, y'all. I'm sorry, I can't pick because I think both concepts are cool. Think about that. Who I want to know who came up with the idea of when you erase something off of the chalkboard, where does it go? It goes into another dimension where the actual art that you put on the board had the life in Chalk Zone. It was so cool to me. Then on top of that, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. It's do your imaginary friends just go bye-bye, or they go away? It was, I loved it. So yeah, I gotta pick both. I'm picking both. I can't pick either one. I'm picking both. Our next matchup is Hey Arnold and Adventure Time. I'm going with Hey Arnold. I got that DVD set too. Y'all, okay, if you don't know, for Christmas I asked for Doug, Wild Thornberrys, Rocco's Modern Life, and Hey Arnold for Christmas. And I didn't want all of them. My mom always does this. I always give my parents a list of what I want for Christmas. And and in the way I tell them, I'm if you pick anything off of this list, I will be exceedingly grateful. You don't have to buy everything, but then they buy everything and then be mad at me talking about I'm expensive when I'm I told you in the text message, whatever you pick off this list, I'm cool with. That don't mean buy the whole list, but they bought the whole list. So I'm going with Hey Arnold. I love Hey Arnold. I like slow cartoons. It's weird. It's weird. It's such a weird thing. Like, I like fast-paced shows, and then I like slow cartoons. It's weird. Like, the vibe of Hey Arnold was always so cool to me. I wanted his room. His room was always fire. But I think the creators of that show did a great job showcasing, like, all the different, like, characters in that town. It was like the city had a life of its own. Like, when you saw somebody on the side, or like on the sidewalk, or at different events in Hey Arnold, it's like you knew who they were, and it just felt like a community. So I love Hey Arnold. I also like Adventure Time. Yesterday I watched the newest episode of Adventure Time Distant Lands, and I think that was the final episode because it was only like a 4-part series. I thought it was cool. I really did. Like, Adventure Time, to me, when it first started off, I really enjoyed it. But then it got weird, and I kind of just fell off because I didn't understand where we were going. Like, I'm down for a ride, but, like, at least, like, you got to explain things to Leah for me to be on this ride. And I just couldn't get, like, it just got weird when I was young. Like, I just didn't get it. But as I got older and I went back to watch the series, I understood it better. Like, the 4-part series that they came out with Adventure Time Distant Land, I think if this is like the end of Adventure Time, it summed it up perfectly, in my opinion. Like, you have the first episode, which we find out like where BMO came from, which was really cool. I think the second episode was about Marceline, and like how her and Bubblegum, like how they broke up, and how they reconciled, and Marceline's backstory as to like what really happened to like her mom, and how did her mom and dad, like, we didn't get to understand what happened to like how her mom and dad came together, but we got a better understanding of Marceline's PTSD and trauma going through life after the Mushroom Wars happened. And then there was like that episode 3 was about Finn and Jake, and Finn dealing with the fact of how learning how to move past losing Jake. Like, he goes back, actually it opens up, Finn is dead, and we're actually watching Finn go through like this cycle of being reincarnated. And I thought that was cool. The whole time is him trying to find Jake so he can be with Jake again, because he has missed Jake so much since he passed away. And then the final chapter that came out, which is episode 4, was about Peppermint Butler. And, you know, after the whole fight between like Bubblegum fighting with Gumball, her uncle, and like figuring out, like, you know, how half of the candy people got dumped with the Dum Dum juice. And it was basically, we were watching the progression of how Peppermint Butler is trying to grow up and get his powers back. So I feel like if that is the end of Adventure Time, I think these 4 1-hour episodes were actually good. But I'm going to still have to go with Hey Arnold. Like, Hey Arnold is just a vibe. It really is. It's just a vibe. And I love the series. So yeah, Hey Arnold, y'all. Our next mashup is Regular Show versus Angry Beavers. Off rip, we going with Regular Show, y'all. I love Regular Show. And oh my gosh, I love Regular Show so bad. It's so stupid, but I love it. Ham boning. I love it. I love it. They just got into so much. Like, I remember one of my cousins telling me, he was like, how do you watch this show? And I was like, I like the show. And he was like, but how do you watch this show? They always are getting into stuff, and they don't. It's like every episode they just effing up, and that's it. That's why I like it. I love it. Oh my gosh. What, especially when we get to the space era where they're in space and we find out who and what Pops is, and then they have that epic battle at the end. I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh. It's so weird, but so good. I love how weird the show is, but yet still, like, it's good because I think the people who created it were born in the 80s. So the show is like a mixture of the 80s and the 90s and slightly early 2000s. And I enjoy it because like I get the quips. Granted, I wasn't born in the 80s, but I can get where these quips are coming from. So I enjoy regular show. Angry Beavers, my mom would not let us watch Angry Beavers. So I think she saw something that she ain't like, and she said no. No ma'am. No ma'am. No ma'am. So I wasn't really able to watch it when I was younger. As I got older, I watched it, and I didn't really like it. I didn't like how Norbert was always ragging on Daggett. And then I also didn't like that Norbert was brown. Why the brown one gotta have issues? Colorism, y'all. Colorism. Because Norbert was the blonde one. And then you got the ugly beaver being brown and always getting he was always getting shitted on. There's no good word to say. They were always ragging on Daggett. Always. To the point where the parents even were kind of dismissive to Daggett when he would have issues with Norbert. So I can't. Always, every time, regular show. And you should definitely check out the regular show movies. I think there's one movie. Check out that movie was so good. But if you're not into regular show, they do have an adult show. I can't remember the name of it, but it's with humans. The characters are not a bird and a raccoon. But actual the creators made it. It's on HBO Max too. I'll put a picture because I can't remember the name of the new series. But it's basically a young couple that has maybe a 4 or 5 year old, and the crazy wacky things that they basically get into. It's for millennials. I'm just gonna put it out there. The show is really for millennials, people who have kids dealing with life and all the random stuff that happens. It's just on the 100 scale because the creators of regular show made it. So yeah, I'm definitely going with regular show, y'all. Oh my gosh, the songs that they would make up would get stuck up in my head. What's that one? It was beeper, something with a beeper, and he was beep, 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 boop, 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 beep, beep, beep. I don't know. And I love finding out about Skips' backstory. I just loved regular show. I probably should get that on DVD too. But yeah, regular show over Angry Beavers. So the next one is All Grown Up versus the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. We going with the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. I love that series. They on my shirt right there. Oh my gosh, I love that series. That series was weird too. Oh my gosh. The movie where it was the Boogeyman versus Grim. And I remember Scary-O, not scary-o. I'm not scared, but very though. I don't know. All these songs are popping up in my head from these shows. All Grown Up was trash. I'm not even about to talk about that. That show was trash. But oh my God, I loved it. I even loved when they did the whole parody of what's it called? Was it Harry Potter? They had a Harry Potter parody in the show where and I laughed. And everybody was always mean to the character that was supposed to be Harry Potter, which is starkly different to Harry Potter itself, where Harry was revered and seen as the chosen one. But in this one, everybody hated the Harry Potter. They were always mean to his weird self. I love that show. Oh, and I love that he was Jamaican. I don't know why I love the fact that he was Jamaican. I love the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. I love how over it he was with them. And then Mandy was just so fiercely scary but cool at the same. Oh, and she used to get in that other girl. She used to play that other girl, the other rich preppy chick. I remember there was that one scene where she said something to Mandy, and Mandy just looked at her I don't care. And her face was cracked. So yeah, the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy over whatever All Grown Up. Our next mashup is Steven Universe versus the Wild Thornberrys. I'm going with the Wild Thornberrys. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all know I love, if you don't know, I'm in school for animal health. So I've always wanted to be Eliza Thornberry. I wanted to have the ability to talk to animals. I just thought she was so cool. I thought their RV was cool. The crab can float on water. I love her. I love her. I love the fact that she had a chimpanzee as a friend. I love that her parents were like nature, like her parents were basically like they were doing nature shit and it was cool. It was so cool to me. I love her. I love her. Y'all, Steven Universe did not slap the way I wanted it to slap. I hated how many times they had to do hiatuses, and I understand that that's not the creator's fault. That's Cartoon Network's fault. But like the reveal of who Rose was and who Pink Diamond was, it was so cliche to me. It was so cliche to me, and I hated it because I felt like it could have been so much better. Like we could have took it in a whole different other direction. It was just cliche, and the only two characters that I truly liked out of the whole entire series was Garnet and Amethyst. Like, I love Garnet's backstory about how she was Ruby and Sapphire, and Garnet is a manifestation of their love. I love the story about, Amethyst finding her own and feeling like she was defective when in all reality she was special. So, like, I like that aspect of it, but I'm not sitting down to watch no Steven Universe like that. I will gladly watch Wild Thornberrys before I turn on Steven Universe. So, Wild Thornberrys all the way, bruh. All the way. Especially that movie when we find out, is it Daggett? The little boy with who didn't speak, who was all like, doing all of that, about how, like, he was basically two scientists' kids. He was the child of two scientists that I think passed away, and then a tribe that that his parents were so kind to took him in, and then I forgot what happened, where he got separated from the tribe, and that's when the Thornberrys found him and chose to take him in. And I love the fact that they just let him be his weird self, because he was just a weird wild child. I loved it. So Wild Thornberrys over Steven Universe all day, every day. The next mashup is Ben 10 versus Legend of Korra. I'm going to go with Ben 10. I did not like Legend of Korra, especially once I found out that that basically Nickelodeon rushed the production of Legend of Korra. That's why everything felt rushed and wasn't fleshed out good enough. So, like, I never liked it for that reason. Like, I could tell even as like a teenager, I could tell that something was off about the show and that the pacing of the show was off. So I really wasn't into the show. I did like finding out the backstory of how the first Avatar came to be. But other than that, they could miss me with that. I wish they would have did a show where they had like an anthology of each avatar. Like when they always show the avatar state and we always see like millions of avatars behind, like hundreds or maybe even like 60 avatars behind the main avatar. I'm always interested in like, yo, it would be so cool if they did like backstories or like 1 episode or 2 episode arcs on each avatar. I would love that. I would even read a book if there's a book out there on that. Like, if you know, drop in the comments below if there is a book about each avatar. But I think that would be mad cool to learn about the backstory of how each one became the avatar or why they were chosen to be the avatar and what was happening in the world at that time that they were chosen to be the avatar. Ben 10, I liked Ben 10, but I remember watching Ben 10, like all the different iterations of it. I remember Ben 10 got a live action movie. There's so many different Ben 10s. I think there's even a new Ben 10 now. I never understood why they had so many Ben 10s. And it was like each story was different because there was like some stories it would open up where like they knew that their Uncle Ben was I think that's his name, Uncle Ben. Yeah, I think they knew that their Uncle Ben like was a part of the Space Force, and some of them, then others, they were like they didn't know, and it was like a surprise. But yeah, I would watch Ben 10 over Legend of Korra. That's just my take on it, y'all. The next one is Johnny Bravo and Rocket Power. We going with Rocket Power. Johnny Bravo, this dude right here is a Me Too case altogether. He just Me Tooing it all up, y'all, basically. Because he was always invading women's spaces. He was like the definition of what we call like, I don't know, he was just a simp. Like, I can't even say he was a simp, like, because simp is used to be derogatory about women, like men who do anything for women. I would just say he was just a Me Too case waiting to happen, because like he was always invading women's spaces. He was always trying to kiss them without their permission. And it was never funny to me. And then the fact that he was so attached to his mom, and then his mom like coddled him after, I'm like, girl, you see your son is out here being disrespectful. It was just weird. I never liked the show when I was a kid. Never. I just always thought he was just annoying and just weird. Like, you keep getting punched in the face every time you getting close to these women. Like, they either macing you or they popping you in the mouth, but you keep trying. No. Rocket Power, I loved Rocket Power. I remember when we used to have like those the Scholastic, I think it was the Scholastic Fair, where you know where the book people would come and you could go and buy books. I always would get a Rocket Power book. I loved Reggie. I think she was like the best female character. And I think they were living in Hawaii because Tito, I think, was Samoan. And I just loved it. I love the series. I love seeing all the, like, them doing crazy tricks with the soccer. I said soccer. They never played soccer. They played hockey, like rollerblading hockey. They also, or street hockey, whatever they call it. I love watching them surf. I love watching them snowboard. I just loved the show. I just thought the show was cool. And like, Tito was my favorite character. I loved all his weird shapes, like talking about you can't shave a coconut, brother. I don't know. I just loved it. I would watch Rocket Power over Johnny Bravo any day. Any day. Any day. The next mashup is Doug versus The Amazing World of Gumball. This one was hard for me, but like I told y'all before, I have the DVDs I have the DVD set of Doug. So I'm going with Doug. I do enjoy The Amazing World of Gumball. I remember it being like a rumor on Twitter that The Amazing World of Gumball was supposed to be a, what's it called? An Adult Swim show. And I could definitely see it being an Adult Swim show where it's basically like all the reject cartoons that weren't like picked up by like networks. This was the town that they lived in. I do like older versions of Amazing World of Gumball. I just think it's cool. Like, I like, at first, the art style of like 2D animation on the backdrop of like a realistic backdrop was always weird to me. But as I've gotten older, that's like kind of an aesthetic that I like now. But I like the like subtle, like, they be throwing in subtle jabs in there, and I like it. Like when they had that one episode where everybody switched places and they were talking about the glass ceiling for women because Gumball and what's his name, Darwin, were like, they switched places with their mom, so they were women now. And then like all the things women went through, I just thought that episode was cool. So I do like Amazing World of Gumball, but I'm gonna watch Doug. Doug is a vibe, just like Hey Arnold was a vibe for me. A lot of people feel like Doug is boring, and slightly it is, but it's still a vibe for me. It's still, oh my God. I love the opening where it's like, I love Doug. So call me boring, whatever, but I kick it with Doug. So Doug over Amazing World of Gumball for me, y'all. That's just it. Our next mashup is Chowder versus As Told by Ginger. I might get hate for this too. But I love Chowder. I just thought it was just, I love Chowder, y'all. I do. And I do like As Told by Ginger. I've seen the whole entire series. I remember when I was in high school, they had the whole entire series on YouTube before YouTube started like cracking down on that type of stuff. And I watched I would come home to watch the whole series. So like I've watched it and I've enjoyed it, but like there was too much going on with As Told by Ginger. Like her brother had issues. Then you had Dodie. Dodie was a trash friend. Dodie was such a trash friend to Ginger. Like Dodie wanted to be so like a part of the popular like squad that there were so many episodes where Dodie would like would just be just horrible to what's her name? Is Dodie, Ginger, and I think it's Mipsy. Is it Mipsy? Y'all, let me Google. Let me Google. You got Ginger. Miranda was the black girl who always had problems. Courtney Glirpling was the rich one. Oh, it was Macy. Okay, and then you had Darren, the black character, Hoodsy, then Dodie, then Lois the mom, and then Blake Gripling, and then Carl as the brother, Miss Gordon, and Brandon, and then Brendan. I will say, I think they did tackle really serious like topics well. Like when I remember just seeing the picture of what's her name again? Mrs. Gordon, when she died, I thought it was so pivotal to show how Carl and Hoodsy were like struggling with it. Cause they were like, they had a relationship with her, even though they got on her nerves and they were always doing bad things. You could clearly tell that she loved them. But I think it was important to show them dealing with that. Also, I think they did a great job showing like teen love, where you had Ginger who was in love with Darren, but also falling in love when she went to summer camp and things of that nature. I think it was a good show, but I like Chowder. I don't know. I like the town being based off of different foods. Like you got Chowder, you got Mung Dal, Truffles, Schnitzel, then Panini with her crazy self, then Endive. I just loved that show. I also loved how they would do the transitions from like scene to scene, where it would be like food that like they would be preparing food. Like it would be a scene where they would make like the screen would go white, and then they would like stack up, like they would speed up the screen and you would see them stacking up like, what is it called, y'all? Like making like a parfait, and that would be this like the scene, and they would switch. I also like that they used puppets in there. I just like the different medias that they used in the show. So I'm gonna have to go with Chowder. I know people gonna be like, Leah, what? But I love Chowder. I still think As Told by Ginger is a good show, but would I watch it now? Possibly, but if Chowder is on the TV, I'm watching Chowder, y'all. I'm sorry. The next one is Total Drama Island versus My Life as a Teenage Robot. I think I'm going to go with My Life as a Teenage Robot. I did like Total Drama Island, but it took me a long time to get into the series. Plus, it was so many different series, which I kind of thought was cool. I thought the concept, so Total Drama Island is a Canadian show, but that they aired here in America. But I thought it was kind of interesting how it was kind of based off of, it's based off of the premise of like the challenge on MTV, where you have all these different characters being mashed up to do all these wacky and crazy stunts and like games and stuff, and they get paid at the end, and then you vote who's off the island. I thought that was interesting. Mainly because you never knew who was going to get voted off of the island. But one thing I didn't like is that they leaned into tropes. Like the black character, I think her name was like Lashandra. She was the aggressive, big black girl. Talk about don't mess with me and stuff like that. I didn't like that. Then you had like the fat character who was just fat just to be fat. I I know. I liked the show mainly because it was like suspense, because you didn't know who was gonna get kicked off. Because even if you thought somebody was manipulative or conniving, it had the twists and turns like you would see if you were watching MTV's The Challenge or MTV Road Rules, because you really didn't know who was going to get voted off. But it wasn't a show that I like enjoyed watching like that. I can appreciate the concept, especially because they had like 5 other franchises, and they would intermingle different characters for each franchise, where you would see a repeat of certain characters, which is cool because that's what you see on The Challenge and on Road Rules. But I would rather watch My Life as a Teenage Robot. I thought it was like a weird show, but still cool that you have Jenny, this robot who's a teenager who saves the world like through like all these dangerous disasters, but she's still dealing with the fact that she can't get readily accepted by those around her. I also thought it was weird that that one character was like in love with her. Like, and then she was in love with other characters, and I'm kind of like, but you're a robot, so this is never gonna work. Like, it's never gonna work. I think that one weird episode where she got a human skin, and it was just weird. It was just weird, but I liked it. I would watch it over Total Drama Island, for real. So the next one is Camp Laszlo versus Our Real Monsters. I think I'm gonna go with Our Real Monsters. I just thought it was, I keep saying cool, but I'm thinking about myself when I was little and things that I liked when I was younger that I thought were really like cool. I need to find a better word. I just thought it was an interesting show to think that like the monsters that we say are like under the bed. It kind of reminds me of, because this came out before Monsters Inc. But basically it was Monsters Inc. before Monsters Inc. Because it's like these monsters went to school to learn how to scare people, but they never, what's it called? The only thing that was weird is that like they didn't have a reason to scare humans other than just to scare humans. Whereas you have in Monsters Inc., they use scare as like a way to power their like, that's their electricity. The sounds of children being scared or laughing that's their electricity. That's how they maneuver and function in their society. But in Our Real Monsters, they were just scaring people just to scare people. And I think that, and I was like, so y'all just messing with people just to mess with people. Camp Laszlo, I thought Camp Laszlo was cool. It was a cute show to like watch and have for background noise, but it was still kind of like weird. So I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I would go with Our Real Monsters. I remember that more than Camp Laszlo. So this is our last part of like our last matchup, y'all. Thank you for bearing with me if you got this far. But it is Kids Next Door versus SpongeBob. I'm going with Kids Next Door, y'all. When I tell you when I was young, I wanted to be a part of Kids Next Door. I like the fact that they had the tree house. They could sleep in the tree house. They tree houses were like basically living in a secret hideout. They was flying to like Spain and Antarctica. They could go to the moon. They had freedom. And I wanted that freedom at 10 years old. Oh my gosh, I love K&D. I love Kids Next Door. I love the stupid like 2x4 technology they had. I love like, oh my gosh, I just loved it. I loved how they did like a parody of Star Wars when it was like they were trying to have a school day, but like the 4th grade class president was evil and trying to force them to come into school. So they were fighting like school bus versions of like those huge like camel-like Star Wars things. I just thought it was cool when I was little. The fact that they had the ability to like fly, they could do whatever. Their parents were not involved in their lives. They had free range to do whatever. And then we were introduced to number 5, And then her sister Cree, she was bad. Number 5 and her sister were bad. They were bad. They were baddies. They was lit. Oh my gosh. I love them. I love them. I like SpongeBob, but we're not even about to talk about SpongeBob. We just about to talk about Kids Next Door. I loved Kids Next Door when I was younger. I also thought it was like a genius idea to have like the villains be like what kids don't like. You had the Common Cold, which was this guy that would just get kids sick on purpose. You had Count Spankulot, who was just a vampire just going in there spanking children. You had Grandmama Stuffums. I'm Grandmama Stuffum, who was just a grandma who would make disgusting food to get her kids to eat it, like liver and like kidneys of animals that kids don't want to eat. You had the Homework Brigade. We had like Father, who was just like this like evil like father figure. I loved it. Then you had the it's not the Insidious kids from around the lane, but like Father's Children were horrible. The crazy thing about that was like, if you watch the one of the Kids Next Door's movies, you end up finding out that I can't remember their names, like gotta Google it too, y'all. No, the delightful children from down the lane. Them creepy children. The delightful But the crazy thing is, like, if you watch the movie, you end up finding out that they were other operatives who basically did Father kidnap them? Because none of them look like siblings. Except 2 of them. And them 2 could probably be siblings. But he got 2 black kids and Father is white. And it don't look like it, but you end up finding out that Father has like a delightful ray, and it turned the like delightful children from a down the lane from like K&D like operatives into the delightful children. And I'm like, so where are their parents? Did he kidnapped people's children, y'all? Like, think about that. I love that series. And I'm so mad that they never got picked up for another series, because because I think they have like 2 or 3 movies. I think they have 2, where number 1 is actually tasked with picking between either staying on Earth or becoming a part of like this secret high-tech like organization to fight off growing up across the land. So they basically say around the universe there are just evil like adults, and this task force or this space force is tasked with protecting those kids, and they wanted number 1 or Nigel Uno to join them, and they never got picked up for another season. Do you know how cool that would have been if we could see, and I keep using the word cool, I got to find better words, I got to increase my vocabulary, but it would have just been so awesome to see number 1 traveling through space, all the new characters we could have met, all the new kids we could have met, and all the different worlds we could have seen of like aliens and how they fought off like growing up in other planets. But the network didn't want to pick it up, which sucks. But yeah, y'all, I'm picking K&D. So if we're gonna tally it up and see who won. So stay tuned for that. So it looked like Nickelodeon took home the win with 11 shows that I would rather watch than the 8 shows I would rather watch on Cartoon Network. So there were 40 shows that we discussed, and thank you if you stuck around. And there were 20 matchups that we talked about, and it looks like Nickelodeon won. So the shows that I picked on the Nickelodeon side was Jimmy Neutron, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Rugrats, The Fairly Odd Parents, Rocko's Modern Life, what's it called? Hey Arnold, Wild Thornberrys, Rocket Power, Doug, My Life as a Teenage Robot, and Our Real Monsters for Nickelodeon. Okay, so that's 11 shows that I picked. The 8 shows that I picked on Cartoon Network was Samurai Jack, Cow and Chicken, Courage the Cowardly Dog, The Regular Show, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Ben 10, Chowder, and Kids Next Door. Now, since I omitted the matchup, which was our number 9 matchup, which was Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends versus Chalk Zone, even if I were to add, it would be 12 shows on Nickelodeon side and 9 shows on Cartoon Network side. So it looked like I'm down with the Nickelodeon ride, y'all. I'm down for the Nickelodeon ride. But please drop down in the comments below and tell me, what would you pick? What show when you were growing up was the show that you just loved to death, and that if it would come on now at your big age, you would still watch it? But yeah, y'all, remember to be bravely authentic. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.